Hello, a very good evening to you. Welcome to ITV News. This is Friday night's calendar.
And here are tonight's main stories.
A police officer is in a serious condition after being hit by a train near Newark as he tried to rescue a man near the tracks. We'll have the very latest live.
Also tonight, thousands descend on Bramham for the North's biggest music festival.
This year's festival is a little different. There's tight security on the way in after concerns about the younger music lovers on the site.
And the queue going in, I saw a lot more people being pulled for like random searches and like full body searches, which I think is good.
There are more interventions around the site this year, and also when you look at the searching and you look at people coming in, you know, that is a big deterrent.
And while Leeds Festival welcomes the best in the business, I'll be looking at the future of grassroots venues, which are a stepping stone to stardom.
And yes, the long weekend is almost here, but is the weather forecast anything to shout about? I'll have all the detail a little later on.
Good evening. First tonight, what's being described as a truly devastating incident after a police officer was hit by a train trying to rescue a man from a rail track.
Nottinghamshire police were sent to Balderton near Newark last night after reports of a distressed man on the line. Both the officer and the man were struck, the officers in a serious condition. Well, our reporter Ben Bason is at the scene for us live tonight. And Ben, the officers said to have had life-changing injuries.
Well, yes, that's right. This incident happened on the stretch of track behind me where the East Coast Main Line goes under the A1, and it's quite a busy stretch of train line. We've seen trains going up and down it at quite some speed all afternoon. Well, police were called to concerns for the safety of a man at around 7 p.m. yesterday afternoon. We understand that man, who's described as being in a distressed state, was on the train line, and it was when the police officer was trying to bring him to safety that officer was hit by a train. A police officer was taken to the Queen's Medical Centre in Nottingham with serious injuries. The man who was on the track got injuries as well from an electric shock. He was also taken to hospital, but his injuries aren't thought to be life-threatening.
And Ben, have we got any indication of the extent of the officer's injuries?
Well, we understand they are quite serious. British Transport Police tell us they are life-changing, and it's them who are investigating this incident because it happened on a train line. We've seen some of their officers down by the track side taking photos of the scene this afternoon, but it was a Nottinghamshire police officer who was hurt in this incident, and their chief constable has issued a statement today. She said that this is a truly devastating incident that has left one of our officers very poorly in hospital. We are supporting his family and ensuring that he gets all the care and support he needs. Well, she goes on to say this was also extremely traumatic for all of those who attended the scene, some of those who provided immediate medical assistance while the ambulance was on its way. I would like to personally thank them for their quick and dedicated response to this incident. While that police officer remains in a serious condition in hospital tonight, and meanwhile the investigation into exactly what happened here yesterday evening continues.
That's Ben Bason reporting live there from Balderton near Newark. A truly horrific story. And you can keep right up to date with the very latest if this story develops by just checking our website. Go to our usual address. It's itv.com/calendar. That's itv.com/calendar. And of course, it goes without saying, we wish the police officer involved a speedy recovery.
More than 70,000 people will spend this weekend at Leeds Festival amid tighter security than previous years.
The event, which attracts some of the biggest names in the music industry, is going ahead with new measures in place after the death of a teenager at last year's event.
David Cellino bought ecstasy from a drug dealer inside the site, raising questions over how safe music festivals are for unaccompanied 16 and 17-year-olds. From the festival, Katie Oscroft reports.
Tens of thousands of people streaming into Bramham Park for the North's biggest festival and some of music's biggest names. Some are festival veterans, for others it's the first time.
So you're camping?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It's okay. Not amazing, but it's alright.
It's worth it. We're best friends and we've moved away for uni, so
we're back together. Yeah. And then he's my little cousin, so.
I'm just here for tag along really. So. Yeah. It was a long time ago since I was here, so it's not changed much though.
There are the usual wristbands and the bag searchers, but there's a different welcome this year.
Keep going.
Beans the sniffer dog is on duty to alert security staff to drugs in the bags and tents being brought onto this site. Security has been visibly stepped up this year. Organisers are trying to strike the balance between showing they take the issue seriously whilst encouraging people to have the time of their lives.
I'm so excited to be here. On the queue going in, I saw a lot more people being pulled for like random searches and like full body searches, which I think is good.
The increased security was brought about by the death of 16-year-old David Cellino here last year. He suffered a cardiac arrest after taking ecstasy sold to him by a dealer. West Yorkshire Police say his inquest last week was a timely reminder to strengthen deterrence.
Trying to make it uncomfortable for people to come in with drugs is the start of it. The education that's going to go on through the social media is really important through the event as well.
Are 16 and 17-year-olds any safer this year than they were last year?
There are more interventions around the site this year, and also when you look at the searching and you look at people coming in, you know, that is a big deterrent.
The issue of whether under 18 should come here alone is now up for debate.
It's almost become a rite of passage that once you get your GCSEs, you come to Leeds Fest afterwards. It's very often the first gig away from home. They think they're all very streetwise until they get here, and then it can go a little bit wrong for them.
Kira is here with her mum and stepdad.
I get to spend my first festival with my family. I'm looking forward to it.
And how old are you?
13.
And when she gets to 16, she could come on her own. Would you let her?
We'll see when that comes. 3 more years.
Lance is 18 and with his mum, unsure whether anyone younger than him should come alone.
I should have the opportunity to enjoy the music as much as adults, but it's about what people come here for.
You are 16. Do you think that's really old enough to come on your own?
No.
Yeah. Would you have let her come on her own?
No.
The thousands already here and those still to come will see Billie Eilish headline tonight, and the festival will close with the Killers on Sunday. Bringing the curtain down on an event which it's hoped will be remembered only for its music.
So, Katie, what's the atmosphere like this year, given those concerns around safety?
Well, look, Sally, the intention was to make these enhanced security measures very visible, and we have seen people pulled over by those sniffer dogs, and we have seen people have their bags searched. And most people seem to actually quite like the fact that this is happening, and that it's happening in front of them. Now, privately, people have said to us that security last year was non-existent, but the police and festival organisers say, no, it most certainly was there, but you just couldn't see it. Now, once inside the festival site, it's as we were for this event, a lot of people enjoying themselves, and a surprising number of people with their parents, and whether that should become the rule for under 18s is being talked about, and clearly in the light of what happened last year, it is very much an unresolved issue.
OK, Katie, thanks very much. There's much more on Leeds Festival on our website. You can head to the usual address for continuing coverage and the all-important traffic updates. Plus, we'll be heading back to Bramham a little later in the programme because Matt Price has also been there.
While Leeds Festival welcomes the best in the business, I'll be looking at the future of grassroots venues which are a stepping stone to stardom.
And yes, the weather for that all-important bank holiday weekend is very similar to today. Gorgeous start with blue sky, cloud bubbling up and showers for later. All the fine-tuning on that a little later on.
On to other news now, and household energy bills are set to fall by an average of 7% this winter after the regulator Ofgem announced the latest energy price cap. But despite the drop, bills will still likely to be more expensive than last winter.
Well, from the 1st of October, the energy price cap will be set at £1,923. That's down from £2,074. The new cap applies to everyone who's not on a fixed deal with their supplier. But remember, it is based on the average household, and it is the rate that is capped. So the more energy you use, the more you will pay. and most will still be paying more for their energy than they did last winter. The government is no longer offering households £400 towards their bills, and no other support has been announced. But for those on a prepayment meter, the government has promised to bring charges in line with direct debit customers. This means the energy price cap should be the same for all forms of payment. Bills are expected to rise again in January, wiping out the gains made this time round. Well, let's find out a little bit more about this and join Lisa Webb from the consumer organisation Which. And Lisa, people want to know, will bills be coming down?
Well, in theory, bills will not be as much as they were, but unfortunately, because we're not seeing that help that we had last winter, that additional £400, actually the impact means that people will either be largely paying the same as they were or even maybe a bit more than they were last year.
And we often hear about people fixing their bills and their rates, etc. Is that something we should be doing now?
So it's worth considering if you're offered any deals that are actually lower than the price cap currently. But what it's always worth doing is if you are offered a deal, make sure you check those exit fees, because if the price cap does come down and you want to switch away again, you're going to want to know what you're having to pay to leave. There is actually a really handy calculator on the Which website where you can go and put in what you're currently paying, and you can use that to compare whether or not a fixed deal might be worth it for you.
Now, I know that Which has been doing some research and has found, it's pretty shocking, isn't it, in 2023, that people are scared to put their heating on.
Absolutely, and we've heard from so many people, nearly half of people we've spoken to have said that at some point when it's been cold, they haven't put the heating on. And that's really, really concerning, especially if you consider people who might have vulnerabilities, any sort of respiratory or cardiovascular disease. That's absolutely not the position that we want people to be in 2023.
And what help is there out there for people who really are struggling? Because the government help, of course, is pretty minimal now, isn't it? In fact, it doesn't really exist.
Yeah, and that is really quite upsetting for people. There is help, though, so please don't put your head in the sand. If you do think you're going to struggle, please speak to your energy provider, because they are under an obligation to help. They can do things like arrange payment plans or give you holidays, breaks from payment. There are also things like the Warm Home Scheme, so that might be available for you if you're on certain benefits. But the thing is, do speak to someone. There are things out there, charities and local authorities do have funds available, and some of the energy companies have funds too for the more vulnerable people. So please just speak to someone and ask for help.
Great advice. Lisa, thanks very much indeed for joining us on Calendar. Thank you.
OK, time for some sport now and more comings and goings in the football world.
Xero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
And Chris is with us, of course. And Chris, a new goal scorer at Leeds United.
Yeah, it's what we call silly season this, Ian. Yeah, the transfer window is closing, but in the next 7 days, I should say. But this looks quite a sensible signing from Leeds, all told. Last night, they snapped up Dutch striker Joel Pirro from Swansea. Now, the 24-year-old has signed a 4-year contract for a fee believed to be around £12 million. Pirro scored 41 championship goals over the past 2 seasons and could make his debut at Ipswich tomorrow. Meanwhile, Huddersfield Town have signed Rotherham midfielder Ben Wiles for what's been described as a significant undisclosed fee. Sheffield United were hoping to call upon England under-21 striker Cameron Archer for the visit of Premier League champions Manchester City on Sunday. But his reported £18 million transfer from Aston Villa is yet to be finalised. Speaking at today's press conference, Blades boss Paul Heckingbottom says he hopes others will follow Archer through the Bramall Lane door.
We're certainly not the finished squad yet. And then when we do, when the window does close, then it's time to get to work and start working. So I see this first couple of months where my price to pick up points, but I also know at the same time we need to keep working hard on the training pitch to try and improve.
Sticking with the Blades, and Sheffield United's women's team kick off their new championship season this coming Sunday. Following the success of the Lionesses at the recent World Cup, interest in the women's game is now higher than ever, and the Blades are hoping to capitalise on that feel-good factor, as Arif Ahmed now reports.
It's been a transformational summer for Sheffield United's women's side. The club is transitioning their first-team players from part to full-time. Now they no longer need to worry about holding down a job. Training is better, faster and longer.
Go, 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 go!
as the club show their commitment to growing the women's game.
It's hard, like you're waking up 6 o'clock in the morning and you're going till 11 o'clock at night sometimes, and we're in 2023, and for the future of women's football and the girls that are coming through, I've said it creates a legacy now for young girls to know that they can be full-time footballers, which weren't an opportunity for us 10, 15 years ago.
I think it's one of those commitments that sends out like a signal that Sheffield United are a team now that are wanting to push on and get further than just the championship within the women's pyramid.
One player that could help them achieve that goal and fire the Blades into the Women's Super League is new striker Juliet Adebowale Arimoro. She's one of 11 new players United have signed this summer, and she's in no doubt as to why she's been brought in.
You have to score goals to stay or to play, so I think the fact that I've gotten a few over pre-season, I feel like it's going to help me during the season. So yeah, I think that's the whole point of me being here, just to score goals and just help the team get promotion.
Seeing the Lionesses reach the summer's World Cup final has seen the appetite for the women's game skyrocket. It's hoped that hunger will trickle down the pyramid this season with bigger crowds at domestic games.
It's hugely important. We saw that from the Euros. The amount of people that we had come in to watch us at Bramall Lane was amazing, and at one game I think we had 11,000, which is the highest that any club in the Championship has ever received. So it's hugely important for especially young girls in and around Sheffield to see that they can be a part of this if they want to be, and they've got a future as a female footballer in Sheffield at this moment in time.
Look into what club they're from, and I feel like that's when we come in as a domestic club, and I feel like it's quite beneficial really.
With change aplenty, everyone here is united in seeing the game grow. Arif Ahmed, ITV News, Sheffield.
Yeah, fingers crossed that feel-good factor continues and they get plenty down to watch them. They're at Charlton on Sunday, first game of the season, so good luck to them.
Chris, thanks very much indeed.
You're welcome.
The ITV Evening News continues at 6:30. Let's find out what's on the programme tonight with Lucrezia Millarini.
The stare now etched into history. This mugshot of Donald Trump, the first of a former sitting US president after his arrest in Georgia, will bring you the latest reaction. A reduction in the energy price cap for homes across the nations, but will it make a difference this winter? And how NASA is planning to bring supersonic travel back down to Earth. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Thank you, Lucrezia. Now then, Kerry's here, and it's bank holiday weekend at last.
Yay! Do you know what? I went outside today and I've been saying, temperatures average at best, temperatures average at best. It felt quite nice in the sunshine.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so in the sunny spells, really nice. Bit of a breeze, it's starting to feel fresher, and we have had a few showers, like here in Scarborough earlier on, a downpour passing through. A big thank you to Richard for sharing. So yes, there have been a few heavy downpours developing, and they will continue to push south and eastwards over the next few hours or so. So what else have I got to tell you about the weekend? Well, we're getting towards that season, aren't we, with some mist and fog perhaps developing overnight and lingering in the mornings, and that could be the case as well as we head through into tomorrow, especially down the Vale of York. This was at Hatfield earlier on in the week. A big thank you to Stephen Abbott for sharing, but also on the top of the North York Moors, something a little bit more joyful and also seasonal. The heather just hanging on in there. A big thank you to Beverly for sending this shot. I love this one of the gnarly rowan tree. So it's just signs of winter on the way, aren't there? Is that too pessimistic?
You can't say winter in August, Kerry.
I love it, I love it, I love it. And obviously a wider sort of scope of that. I think this might be the whole of Horkham. A big thank you to Sean Grewcock for sharing. So yes, you want to know about the weekend?
Yes, go on.
I think I've had my sort of pint half empty all week because I've just been telling you all the bad things that might have been happening over the next few days.
Sounds promising,
so I've got my positive parts for the weekend. So in between the showers, which could be heavy and fairly widespread tomorrow, we will see better doses of blue sky. So there's definitely some blue sky with our showers. Earlier on in the week, Sunday was looking quite cloudy, could even rain by the afternoon. That's all holding back now. So it's a brighter day on Sunday, but there's still some showers. And also Monday, which is the bank holiday Monday, which of course notoriously and traditionally is not very nice. It might be a bit cloudy in the middle part of the day, but we're looking at a mostly dry story. And the story for Bramham and for the festival is also staying the same. I said the headliners on Saturday will probably end up dry, and it will, I think. Typically though, of course, Monday, when they're all packing up, it's probably going to be dry.
Well, that's good for the tents, isn't it? That's
Absolutely.
great. Kerry, thanks very much indeed. Now,
And the weather will be fantastic then, won't it, when it gets to Tuesday?
Won't
Yeah,
it
of course
just?
it will.
Let's head back to Bramham Park now, where the North's biggest music festival, Leeds Festival, is in full swing.
Some of the biggest names in the business will take to the stage over the next 3 days, but the music industry isn't immune to the impact of economic struggles. Some small venues say they're fighting rising costs and the cost of living crisis.
Well, Matt Price has spent the day at Leeds Festival. Matt, a party atmosphere, but there are some real fears for the future.
Yeah, Sally, some 70,000 fans are expected here at Bramham Park over the course of the weekend to soak up the atmosphere and soak up the sunshine if it comes back out as well. But you're right, music venues are really struggling at the moment as a result of the tough economic crisis. Grassroots venues, those small pubs and clubs really feeling the pinch. Now, the Music Venues Trust has put on a series of concerts to try and help festivals like this continue to find fresh new talent. Tonight, they've got no problem pulling in the punters and pulling pints. At this club in Leeds, they're playing host to one big-name band. It's all part of a special UK-wide tour to help grassroots venues just like this weather tough economic times.
It's a starting block for every band, really. However big you become, you always start in places like this.
Keep everybody out and keep entertainment going. Live bands, live music is the future.
All your big bands started in these venues at some point, and if they disappear, they're going to go as well.
And this is who they're here to see. The Law are a post-punk rock band from Glasgow who've joined the United by Music tour. It'll see 150 gigs at more than 100 grassroots music venues right across the UK. One venue is closing every single week, and the band, including Hamish and Connor, want to do everything they can to help.
These venues, grassroots venues, small pubs and clubs, are where you can learn your craft, own your trade, and without those opportunities that are given to people like ourselves, young up-and-coming bands, there is no life left in the music industry. That's where it starts and that's where it ends.
Independent venues are the lifeblood of all of this, makes all of it tick. None of it would exist without them. So super important, and we're super proud to be here, like shining a light on that.
Big name bands like Block Party and Sam Ryder have also joined the campaign, a campaign to keep places like this as busy as they are tonight. Rising energy bills coupled with increased staff costs are crippling. Even the beer is more dear, and it's troubling for people like Ross, who manages a Porto. So, what would solve the problems?
I can't say anything about Brexit, can I?
You can.
The price of everything's going up, as it is for everybody. A lot of the products that we sell and a lot of the products that we're getting in have all gone up. The cost of touring has gone up for bands and musicians, which has a knock-on effect to the fees that we have to charge, and you know we have to. There's so many staff that we have to pay to put on a show like this and stuff, and it's you have to guarantee those ticket sales and that footfall in order to make it a positive outcome,
One survey suggests some small venues are operating at an average net loss. The industry voice says that is far from acceptable.
Without a grassroots music venue, you won't have Adele, you wouldn't have Ed Sheeran, you wouldn't have Coldplay or the Arctic Monkeys. They all started out somewhere just like this place here, and they toured all over the UK. Without this level here, there is no pyramid stage at Glastonbury.
It's an industry shouting, crying out even for more help. Without places like this to find fresh talent, there's a fear festival stages could one day fall silent.
So, Matt, we've heard a lot of worries there. Is there any financial support on the horizon?
Well, Sally, firstly, I've got to say the Law were absolutely brilliant at a Porto the other night. You'd have loved them. We asked the government, the Department for Culture, Media and Sport, for a response to this. They say as part of our ambitious plans to maximise the potential of the creative industries, we've expanded the Supporting Grassroots Live Music Fund to provide an additional £5 million of funding over the next 2 years. Now, earlier, I caught up with music journalist Steve Harrison. I asked him how important those grassroots venues really are.
I
think you'll find that most of the headline acts started somewhere, and it's about those smaller clubs and smaller venues giving those artists the opportunity to perform live, craft their skills, that suddenly then develop, grow popularity and become the headliners of tomorrow.
And you no doubt talk about it on the podcast, the struggles that these venues are facing.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms, we see it regularly now, it's often a topic of conversation where artists do find it a struggle, and they need these live opportunities where they can sell their merchandise, sell t-shirts, sell their CDs, and sort of grow their popularity on that live footing.
Well, today, thousands of music fans have been busy pitching their tents, hunting out the headline acts. Anyone who's got a ticket here is in for a super weekend. Billie Eilish is headlining tonight, taking to the main stage a little later.
Matt, thanks very much indeed. And yes, so much great music's come out of our region. It would be a shame if there wasn't more to come, wouldn't it?
Oh, no, it really would. It really would. Now then, it is, as we said, bank holiday weekend. So you want to know what that forecast has in store for you, don't we? So let's join Kerry for the real detail.
Good visibility on the horizon. Tiri sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Thank you. Hello again. Yes, the weekend is just around the corner now, almost upon us, and a similar story to today. Lots of blue sky to begin the day, but the cloud bubbling up and producing one or two showers for the afternoon on the heavy and potentially thundery side. As we head deeper into this evening, one or two of those showers really pepping up and pushing eastwards, but quite quickly. For the middle part of the night, we'll see drier and clearer spells. Temperatures taking a little bit of a tumble in rural spots, but then this little feature pushing in from the north and west into the early hours, perhaps once more producing some heavy showers and a little bit more cloud by dawn. There is sometimes as we head into tomorrow, 6:03 and 12 minutes past 8. So this feature fizzles out first thing in the morning if you are up nice and bright and early, and there will be some sunshine, but quite quickly mid-morning and throughout the afternoon and early evening there will be a mix of blue sky, yes, definitely, but also some showers. Anyone is at risk of one of those showers tomorrow afternoon, and they could be heavy, possibly thundery. They'll move through quite quickly though, temperatures around 20 Celsius, so that's just about the average for the time of year. Light winds, but maybe a noticeable breeze as we head through into Sunday, certainly. So Sunday starts off bright again, some showers mixed in with our sunny spells. This is the feature we've been watching all week. It's likely to stay in the west until later on in the day, and as it pushes through towards us, it's likely to fizzle out. So that could produce a bit of cloud perhaps on Monday morning for a time, but we're looking at a mostly dry story, maybe some light rain and drizzle out of any thicker cloud, but brighter either side of that system, and temperatures average at best, a mixed story into next week.
Tiri sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
There you go, I could stop talking about the bank holiday forecast now.
It's a relief to get that off your shoulders, that weight off your shoulders. It's been hanging over you.
Last bank holiday till Christmas now. There's a
You're
thought.
right.
Sally.
Sorry.
You can do lates for that.
I'll see you at 10:30. Thanks for watching.
Have a good weekend. Good night.
Bye.